Yay. We're starting on time, wink wink.
Certainly a time.
Time.
What is time anyway? Can you hear us snore now? Is it cutting through now?
A little bit. Yeah.
I feel like it's just.
We'll turn up your fan profile.
My fan over. It's just this side of the house.
I'm sure it's fine. Mm. If you want, next time I can host it and you can record it.
Okay.
Like I'll stream it and you just record it.
We could do that now. If you wanted to. I don't think there's any reason.
I don't have all the stuff set up for it.
JK, we can't do it right now. Stephanie, stop asking us to do this now, because we can't do it now. I'm just saying, like later, at a later time when we had time to set it up, we could do it.
You don't have to yell at me.
I'm sorry. I know I don't have to. It's just fun.
It's like me in velocity class all over again. People are mad.
Everyone's mad. I don't.
Someone's mad and someone's sad, and I can't deal.
It might just need a gas leak.
Well, all my stuff is not working. What's
You see a
going on?
gas in here? Oh, dude! What if in this whole like Temple of Kalimdor or whatever, it's just a gas leak?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is burned out, so it probably happened a while ago.
Oh.
Twitch is literally not loading for me now.
It was for me earlier.
No, I mean, like, Twitch, the whole site isn't working.
It loads for me.
Nope. Everything else loads but Twitch. Don't know why. Whatever. Okay, who wants to recap? Ryan?
I would love to read that.
That joke never gets old.
So, let me look at my notes, because I made notes. I have to go back to... Okay, so, last session in Valendor, there was a dark morning, and there was once glyph, there was now a gloff, and there was a zombulet, and there was a rhinolin, and they ran, and they ran, and they ran, and what I don't remember what this note refers to, but Kelly's bros off gloff? Oh, Kellenbor's, yeah. Kellenbor's bros off gloff, and everyone picks through Gloff's pockets, and there's a...
Excuse me, everyone?
Everyone.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nessa took the moral high ground and didn't...
Starting...
No. Nessa took the moral high ground and didn't pick through his pockets, even though she tried to brutally murder him.
After desperately trying to depict... There was definitely cause!
It's like...
Is there ever cause to brutally murder without all the facts?
I had enough facts.
Sure. Hey, that's true. That's true.
Womp womp.
There we go. Okay.
What do you have your CPU settings at?
I don't know. Where do I find that? Output?
Yeah, let me pull mine up and I'll just take a look. If anything will load. I swear it's gotta be our internet that's causing problems.
Enough, King.
There it goes. Settings, output. And what's your video bitrate at?
2500.
And what's your encoder preset?
Software X264.
No, encoder preset.
I don't have an encoder preset.
Really?
I just updated it, so I know it's not.
Oh, no. Enable advanced encoder settings.
Oh. Well, it's set to very fast.
Try dropping that down to faster or...
Wait. Nope, that didn't help. It did do something, but...
Well, you want to set it to, like, faster. And then hit apply or OK or whatever. Does it say it has to...
No, it dropped it like a percent, but it's still at 35%.
Hmm.
The auto bit rate is at 160.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know.
Alright, well... I don't know. Don't know what to tell you. I guess we'll just go with what it is and deal with it as it is.
Yep.
Oh, now Twitch is loading for me. Yeah, okay. Well, cool. So you guys, so Kellenvor off Kelly's bro, Gloff's bros off Kellenvor, what?
Off gloss.
Yeah. So Kelly's bros off Gloff, and then we go in the temple, and we're like, oh, look at that book. And then Corrin's like, oh, dang, look at that book. And then he goes over to, like, read it, and the book was like, oh, nah, bruh. And then Corrin's hand turned into bones, and he was like, what? And then he pulled his hand back, and he was okay, but it was frightening. The end.
Good stuff.
This is why I don't do recaps.
Like it. Okay, so you guys are in the Temple of Kellenvor. You were standing around the book, and upon trying to touch it, voice kind of seeming from nowhere breaks the silence and explains that only those that walk the path of Kellenvor are able to touch the tome. And again, for those one of you that weren't here, the temple that you're in, it doesn't. As you've like entered the sanctuary, so to speak, you don't have the same feeling of being cut off from the withering as you did at the other sanctuaries. You don't have that kind of like dampening kind of sense as you entered into it. But the withering doesn't seem to have stretched this far in. It seems that whatever is surrounding this temple has held it at bay. The ground around you is burnt. The interior of the temple and the exterior are burnt. The pews that were around the place and the tapestries are all charred up, except for the dais and the altar that you're standing at with the podium with the tome on it, and the walls behind it are all glistening and pristine.
I'm gonna hang back a safe distance and start prepping up my bedroll. So I guess I don't need a tent because we're inside. Is there a roof? Is the roof okay? Okay.
Yeah, it's like stonework basically
Okay.
for the most part.
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to take
It-
a little nappy poo.
It kind of it looks like I mean, think kind of like Gothic cathedral architecture stuff. It's got like large sweeping roof and
Flying buttresses.
Sure.
Although that's probably more Arabic. Sorry.
No,
I
I was
don't
right.
know.
Okay.
I don't
I mean,
know
maybe
the
both.
terms well enough.
Maybe
I
both.
don't know the terms well enough, but I mean, think kind of like old medieval cathedral. It's got, I mean, it's very solidly built. It looks like the stone was at one point in time white, but it is all charred and burned black now. You can see white near the top where the fire didn't reach, essentially. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretend I don't feel uncomfortable and start setting up for a little nappy poo.
Okay, where are you sleeping at?
Just, next to a sidewall, how about?
Okay.
Semi-equidistant from the front door and the chapelish area.
Okay. Okay.
Is Kellenborg ubiquitous enough in this world that I wouldn't have to roll, or should I roll to see how much I know about this? Because like the reason is like I want like only as servant of Kellenborg. I kind of want to see what I think I can and can't get away with, or rolling specifically.
Okay. You can roll religion. I'll say that Kellenvor is well known enough. It's known of, but in-depth knowledge of it is another story.
Boo.
So I'll say you.
I rolled
you
a
know,
10.
yeah.
Audience. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that they can't see that. That's a new change.
I rolled a 4, got a 10.
Yeah. So I'll say Roland. What you know is kind of general knowledge stuff. You know that Kellenvor is the god of death. They're how do I want to say it? So while not necessarily like evil, just the connotations that go with it, there's a lot. You know that there's a lot of misconceptions about Kellenvor that you just having kind of studied religion, you know this sort of stuff coming from that sort of background. While it might not necessarily be for everyone that he's not an evil god, it's not necromancer worship, but a lot of stuff kind of gets attributed to that. He is in all the readings that you've done on it. He is the warden over fair and just death. Unnatural deaths, things that defy unnatural death, those things go against everything that he stands for. And one other thing that you would probably know in particular from your background and studying religion is that well, you may not agree with everything Kellenvor. The unwavering approach that Kellenvor and his followers have to their mission, to their charge, is kind of familiar to you.
Well, yeah.
This is right.
I feel like I just witnessed it with like where they lopped off that dude's head. It's like very, yeah. I
would say that in your studies when you were younger, maybe the reason that you might have sought out studying even just in passing about Kellenvor would be because there are probably some similarities to what you were used to growing up. That kind of just know this is this and that's it kind of.
Which I think Roland kind of makes him. Roland likes a certain kind of flexibility, and that's not Kellenvor. and especially from what he just saw with Gloff, I think he's just gonna give it a wide berth where normally he'd want to pick around it. I think he's just gonna. I think he'll probably go through the ashes around, just seeing if there's anything left behind. But as far as like the pristine, clearly magical, purified part, he's not gonna mess with it.
Okay. And what is your passive perception again? I have it written down somewhere, but
I think it's at least 12. No, it might be. What is it? Because no, it's 12. It's 12.
okay.
Wait, what? How's that +3? He's got a -1 wisdom, but he's got +3. Oh yeah, +3. Okay, yeah. It should be just 12, I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I even have it right there.
It's passive perception is 8.
Well, that's in direct sunlight with a disadvantage.
Oh, okay.
So actually, I guess it's
So-
13. I guess it's 13. My bad. Sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone. That took so long for me to figure out. I should just have it written down. But
It's alright, I should know it, so it's okay. Okay, so go ahead and give me a Are you actively searching through, or are you kind of just like glancing? I guess would be the question.
I would say he's probably actively looking through. He's
All right.
pretty.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check then.
Okay. He's been.
What's your passive investigations? No.
I can't find it. Oh, it's the same. So-
19.
So 22. 22 for investigation.
Okay, so as you kind of begin shying away from the tome and leaving the dais back into like the blackened, charred interior of the temple, you begin kind of just like walking around. As you do, you keep getting this just like crunch with every step, and there's this kind of every time your foot hits the ground, there's this puff of ash, and it kicks up, and it smells. It smells like a campfire almost with every step that you're taking. As you begin looking around, kind of just starting in the general sense, and then going in a bit more minute, you head towards the just kind of taking it all in. You see something on the walls that kind of catches your eye a little bit, and as you get closer to it, you see, even though they're blackened and charred and cracked and broken, and completely caked in soot, at one point in time, these glistening, like gleaming white walls were all etched with various reliefs and not mosaics, but carvings that are kind of worked into this white granite, now filled with age and dust and soot and char. But they look stereotypical religious carvings in a sense. They're decorative in nature, but they also tell kind of a story. And they're a bit dark. Not like evil or anything like that, but from what you can tell, a lot of it deals with just, darker connotations. There's death. There's, death over and over and over again is a recurring theme in them. You also see a doorway repeated a lot, and you also see a pathway that is repeated a lot in the carvings, with various characters from the different stories that are being told walking down these pathways towards this door.
Okay, so it's the pathway to the doorway.
Yeah. And in other times, in other carvings, there is someone standing in front of the door. You don't see the pathway. There's someone opening a door. But it's the same. There's this very large kind of highly decorative door that someone keeps opening and or trying to reach or walking through in these various different things.
Does it show us on the other side?
No, it does not. Yeah. So, and then the other part, one of the other like themes that you get a lot of is there seems to be very few times where someone in one of the stories or the carvings on the wall, um, there aren't very many where there is a following of Kellenvor that are gathered in one place or doing something. A lot of times it seems that Kellenvor, just from what you're kind of observing and looking at, it's a lot of times it's one individual. And you almost get the sense of the way that they're carved in and kind of highlighted that you get the sense of like a champion almost.
Sorry, you twitched out a little bit. A champion? So you
Yeah,
said?
like
Okay.
that's and they change from scene to scene, across time, kind of stuff, as the stories kind of get older. The armor changes, the weapons change, but there are a few that depict like a battalion of Kellenvor's paladins or soldiers or clerics or something like that. But very, very rarely is that the case. Most times it seems like one person selected by Kellenvor standing against oncoming darkness sort of thing.
All right. Cool.
So as you move away from the walls and begin kind of sifting around and looking, you don't find much. There are some areas where there were carvings, or not carvings, sorry, like reliefs in the wall where there were maybe statues or something that was on display. A couple of those that were statues are melted and kind of slagged down over the top of things. They don't look like they were made out of anything valuable, from what you can tell. I mean, you see like bronze and stuff like that. You do see one or two of the areas that the base of something is clearly outlined in like a pristine white square or circle, but the entire relief and the stand is kind of blackened and charred away, and it looks like something was probably removed afterwards.
Interesting.
And then the last thing that you notice as you kind of move away and start going through the like interior, the main part of it is the pews themselves. So a lot of them are just completely destroyed, and where there was wood seating is basically just all charred and turned to ash now. The ends of them are all stone. They look to be the same kind of white stone, and they're slotted. They're cut to hold like basically wooden pews in between them, kind of like a bench, like a park bench or something.
Sure.
As you're looking over them, something kind of catches your eye, and you notice carvings in them as well, but it's fresher and newer and not as not as like they're not worked into the design, and it actually looks like someone has chiseled things in. And as you begin kind of looking them over, you realize that you're seeing names that are carved into these. So going through all of them, looking at the names that are carved in there, you kind of like notice that some of them have it, some of them don't. It kind of looks haphazard. There aren't very many of them. You maybe come across like.
Wait, I'm sorry. Some of them have it, some of them don't. You mean the stone
some
things?
of the stone things have carvings.
Okay.
Some
Cool.
there's no pattern to it. It kind of seems just carved in. And you notice that some of them that look a bit older are burned and charred, and some of the newer ones look like they've scraped through the char.
Okay.
And near the front, well, actually, never mind. It wouldn't matter to. So, yeah, that's basically what you get on your kind of.
What kind of names? I mean, like as far as are they dwarven names, elven names?
A wide variety
Everything?
of names. Yeah, a wide variety of names. But
I will
yeah,
commit
so-
some to memory.
Okay.
Or just like, well, I don't know. How does that work? Because I know there's like an actual feat, like you don't forget stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've
But, like-
taken you've taken charcoal imprints before.
That's
You
true.
can do
And there's
that as-
lots of charcoal here.
Yeah. So
I just put it up again. It's just a black page. It's like, oh.
yeah, I mean, you could do that if you wanted to. You could spend some time taking the names down. They look like they've been kind of chipped in either with like a knife or some kind of sharp implement that, and they're kind of rough. It almost like a name carving in a tree kind of thing.
Yeah. I think he'll probably collect some. Just see, he's kind of a magpie in that way.
Okay.
But then, yeah, that's probably all he's going to do during this time for right now until something happens.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Restias.
At some point when people aren't really looking, Skyla would like to go touch the book because she's curious.
Can we roll perception?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not going to stop you. I just want to watch. I just want to see it happens.
Yeah.
Or you want to sneak by us, or?
Can I do like a sleight of hand? Just like,
Yeah. If you want, you can sleight a hand, or you can. I mean, you do have a feature where you can, like, choose someone to not see you when you're moving.
I mean, I did specifically say I was keeping an eye on things.
just gonna
Yeah.
stand next to it.
You're muted.
Mine would just be my passive perception. I wouldn't be like actively like. Can you actively perceive? I don't. But
I'm just gonna stand next to it and like see what
Okay.
happens.
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check.
16.
That's pretty good.
yeah, I don't notice.
What's your passive perception, Nessa?
Not great.
Oh, no,
It's like
you-
13, but I said
So
I was
you
actively
said
looking.
you said you're
at it.
actively looking. I'll let you roll a perception check.
It's probably not gonna pick right, but yeah, missed it by that
so
much.
close.
So
You
classic.
just like suddenly got dust in your eye.
I
I forgot I
got
did.
it.
Dust.
Yeah,
We-
for the
we
kids
heard you
at
good,
home. For the kids at home, Skylar rolled a 16 and I rolled a 15.
Okay, so as you reach your hand up, and you reach out and touch the book, you feel this kind of like cold wash up over your hand, and it's not like a burning, stinging, painful cold, but I mean, literally kind of chilled to the bone sort of thing. And as you look, the skin begins to kind of just fade away, and your finger turns into a skeletal hand. It begins to kind of move up your arm a little bit slowly. And then you see, as this is happening, a kind of similar to what you've seen before with like Fox, and when you were talking to the kids, there's kind of this like blue kind of ethereal glow that's kind of coming off of the book. But that's it. The kind of thing is moving up your arm slowly. The skin is kind of peeling away, becoming bone quicker and quicker.
Once it hits like close to her shoulder, she's gonna let go. Lindsay.
I'm actively perceiving the wrong things.
Keeping an eye on everything, but
Okay.
so
Just the butt.
as you go to pull away, as it like reaches up towards your shoulder, you see this ethereal like blue hand come down over the top of the book and rest its hand on yours. As you pull your hand away, it kind of holds on to you. The skeleton of yours, or the arm begins to like reform and come back down, except where the hand is touching you. So like about your wrist area, it's kind of trying to reform and then stopping. and you see a face kind of materialize in front of you, wearing a plate like helmet, and then the body slowly comes into shape. A large two-handed greatsword over the top, as the person lifts up the faceplate, and you see Gregor standing in front of you.
I knew it! I knew it!
Oh, it was.
As soon as I heard greatsword, I was like, Gregor! Like, gonna try not to yell, but like, oh. Gregor.
As you're doing this, he doesn't talk or say anything, but you kind of hear his voice almost coming away, like at you from a very far distance. Devoid of emotion. I mean, more so than even Gregor had. As you hear this kind of ethereal voice echo out. It says, "Do you wish to walk the path of Kellenborn?"
I don't know.
It is not a calling for everyone. It is difficult and often unrewarding. But if it's what you seek, I can show you the way.
Oh, Gregor, I disliked you so much. What would walking the path entail?
You must devote yourself to the cause of Kellenborn, to keep balance in this world, and to strike down those that stray from the path and the responsibility that is death for all living things.
I don't really like killing if I don't have to.
There are things in this world that are alive that shouldn't be, and they spread death to those that should not be dead. Those are the things we seek to stop. There are those that try and shy away from death, which is a sacred duty that we all must take part in.
Well, Kele did die from that one thing. And then we killed it. I mean, I want to do more than what I'm doing now. I want to help more people.
If you wish to follow the path, then the path shall remain open to you. But in the morning, if you do not choose to follow it, it shall be closed, and you will go on your way. And he kind of gestures behind you, and the wall that has the intact Kellenborn tabard, or the banister, what is it? The sheet.
Tapestry?
The tapestry, thank you. Hanging on it begins to kind of glow and swirl, and you see as it kind of turns ethereal like a almost like a path through the woods kind of appears. You see these ethereal trees kind of pop up, and a cobblestone path, all of it kind of glowing blue, leading down it. And as he kind of gestures towards it, he nods to you and says, "I've opened the way, and now I must follow it myself. Seek Kellenborn, if it's within you to do so." And he literally just begins walking down the path.
Okay, I'm gonna run over to Nessa. Nessa!
I was painting my nails because I was definitely didn't see any of that somehow.
Nessa!
Oh, I was.
I freaking start
yes?
taking all my stuff off. Except for like a quiver of arrows and my old bow, just my regular bow. Start like pushing everything to her. If I don't come back, tell my dad I love him, and I just book it.
What?
I saw blue, and I just booked it.
Booked it.
Bye.
Bye.
Ambuscade, bye!
Wait.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it takes a little bit of time for you to get all this stuff off. It's
Yeah.
not gonna be, especially Skyla, who has like.
Everything's
In the quiver?
in the quiver and then in my pack, so I really don't have that much on me.
Okay. So she begins taking this stuff off and giving you this kind of hasty explanation
What is,
as she begins turning away from you. To
Skyla,
head
what?
back to-
where are you going?
I just grabbed Nessa by the face. I love you guys so much, okay?
No!
Bye!
It's not okay!
Alright.
Okay. You guys watch.
Wait, I
as-
also... I'm gonna take the bracelet I'm wearing and, like, lob it at Roland. Because we all have one.
Ah, what?
Okay.
I'm gonna try and like just walk after her. I probably don't see the ethereal wall, so she probably just disappears.
So,
like
As you see, as you watch Skyla run back up towards the dais, and right through the wall, you see this little like of blue come off of her, and then the wall is solid once more.
I go and touch the wall.
Nothing.
When the wall was shimmery, did I see a path and door?
No.
Or it?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't see what she saw. Okay, cool.
No,
All right,
she literally ran into a solid wall, and there was a bit of a blue kind of, and again, it would have reminded you of those that have seen him. It would have reminded you of Fox, that kind of energy, like that came off of it.
Cool.
I start like looking at like, is this an etched wall? Like I'm just gonna. Lindsay knows this is futile, but I'm gonna like go around and like just feel around the edges of like the etchings and like just, is there a secret button? Did she find
There's-
something while I was somehow not seeing any of this?
Did
No,
you
there's
not
there's no etching on the wall, and there's
Oh.
no char or anything. It's a pristine white wall. This is basically the preserved section of the temple, surrounding that the whole dais, the front of the temple where like the priest would have stood and talked, kind of stuff.
I have a question for Skylar. Did you share with the group what happened last night when you like kind of saw the ghost kids and like Alaric and everything, blah blah blah? Did you share that with everyone, or?
I think that stuff, since it was a dream, we like didn't quite remember.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you didn't remember.
And
Okay.
then with
Cool.
Glyph, I think I like said things out loud, like I saw your like spirit, but I never explained anything about what I saw. We hadn't gotten to that point
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think if we had known about what happened last night, Roland would react a certain way, but he didn't. So I got to rethink about how he's going to react. Please
I would
hold.
say Roland, if Skylar didn't specifically tell anyone, Roland wouldn't have any clue. Nessa
Not at all.
would have a faint kind of. I mean, you guys woke up and you were like, "That was a weird dream," but it was like, "But was it a dream?" Kind of. So, and especially like with Nessa, who woke up with her stat or her packed weapon halfway disintegrated,
Yeah.
like gone. So, you kind of like, yeah, but maybe there's probably, I mean, I'll say this way, your character, how they would see that, how unsure they are, that's up to you.
I punch the wall.
Okay, you take 1d4 bludgeoning damage.
Crabs. Do I need to roll it, or are you gonna roll it?
Yeah, go ahead and roll it.
Okay. That's a 3. There we go. 4 max damage. I punched it so hard.
I'm so mad!
Ow! I'm actually still really hurt from earlier.
Yeah, you guys are pretty messed up.
Scott, we just got here.
I mentioned. Am I messed up? Because I heard that I took damage,
you were in rhino form.
and I'm not any longer. So
Right, Nolan.
Nyessa and I were riding the
Well-
Zumbullet and got thrown off, so
okay.
Yeah. Well, and then it landed on them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
Yeah.
just looked again and realized I'm at 18 of 61, and I just
That'll
Good
hit you.
I just
luck.
ran off into the spirit world. So love you, bye.
Good
sure.
luck.
Yeah.
So
So, no, you're not hurt. Although we probably did stretch the duration of polymorph a little longer than.
We also stretch the duration of daylight and like literally everything.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you guys were moving though, so I'll
I'm
give you
good.
that.
okay, cool. You want to go to Skyla now, or are we in the room?
What are you guys doing at this point? What do you want to be doing?
Nessa, you should take the lead in this. I feel like I feel like Roland's just going like
Nessa is very concerned. The last time Skyla was like, I want to run off and go do something by myself, she got arrested.
I do not think there are any police out here.
I'm just saying, like, it's not. We're a team. We're supposed to stay together. Why didn't you just let us all go? Why didn't you just say what you? I hate Kellenvol. Sorry, but no, I'm not. I hate you. And then I move my sleeping bag over to the pristine
You
wall.
hear this like
Yeah, Roland backs
you hear
up.
like this creaking from outside as the two guards out in the front, the suits of armor, kind of like.
Yeah, Roland straight up backs up like 5 feet away from Nessa when she says that. It's like.
Yeah, I pull my sleeping bag over to the wall. I wait. I just look for something to happen.
I've not known this Skyla for very long, but she is a free spirit. Let her wander around, do what she must do. You worry too much, Nessa. You worry too much.
We were hurt. She's hurt. We're not safe.
Life is pain. That never ends.
That's not comforting. If it was supposed to be comforting, it wasn't at all comforting.
No, this is normal. You think that you should be healthy and happy at all times. You are in pain. This is normal. This is life. She is in pain. She is wandering around discovering something new. That is exciting. That is
I need to be there. I need to know she's safe. I need to keep her safe.
We do not know where she left, but she left, and there is only one where she left. Let her. She is young. She's still young. Let her discover things for herself. She does not need some wet nurse following her around at every bend.
She's gone, Roland. I can't do anything about it. There's no letting.
Accept that. I don't have wine, but if I did, I would offer you some now.
I do not drink.
At all?
There's no letting.
That is why you're so uptight.
I had a bad experience.
We can cut the scene now.
Yeah.
Okay. So while that's going on, Kaylee and Corin are just chilling, not doing much of
They're
anything,
so
being real
quiet.
quiet.
Kaylee, what do I do? Corin!
Corin just reads through his journal. So, we'll flash back over
Today,
to...
Skyla disappeared.
It's
That's
not
my impression
when
of
he
Alex. It's pretty spot on.
It's not the journal he writes in. It's the Archdruid's journal that he just reads all the time.
He also takes notes. Today, Skyla disappeared.
Why is he Australian all of a sudden?
This is Australian, okay? I'm sorry.
Okay, so, Skyla, as you rush down the path, you kind of hit it at a run, and it feels familiar to you. You've had a little bit of experience with this, especially recently in the Druid's Glade. You enter that realm that's kind of in between kind of life and death. There's and it's where a lot of your power comes from, your connection to Fox. And as you kind of turn around and look, the temple behind you fades, and all there is the path that you're walking on, endless in both directions. As you continue on a little bit further, there's a bit of a familiar presence, and you sense Fox there with you, walking along beside you on the path.
I just like put my arm into his ethereal fur and like walk side by side with him.
Okay. As you continue walking, you catch glimpses of people flashing in and out in front of you. For the most part, you don't notice any of them. You catch a few glimpses of what you assume is Gregor's, a kind of an armored figure in front of you a ways, with the greatsword kind of slung to his back. And you also see someone that seems to recognize you, but you don't really recognize them. It looks like an older elf individual wearing kind of very regal robes. And as they kind of flash in, they look at you, and there's a glimpse of recognition as they go, "Scott!" And then it disappears out. You continue walking along a little bit further, and you begin to hear crying. Not like bawling, sobbing kind of crying, but it sounds like older male from what you can tell, and there's just like kind of going on. On either side of the path, there are kind of these ethereal trees that are growing, and they kind of sprout into existence and then fade away, as almost like a wind is kind of blowing on them, and as it does, it kind of crumples to dust, only to be replaced a few feet to the left or the right by a different tree. As you're walking along the path, winds and twists and turns. You don't actually see a single straight portion of this. You catch various smells. Most of them kind of remind you of home. Maybe the village is cooking, the campfire, the smell of the alcohol that they make up there, that kind of stuff. You don't actually see anything around. It's just that seems to be kind of like the scent in the air is just something familiar and comforting to you. You glimpse through the trees that are kind of appearing and disappearing the figure of someone kind of like huddled up next to a tree and just head in their hands, and you can tell that this is the crying individual.
I go right over to them, and if they're like on the ground, I kind of sit next to them.
Okay. So as you head over to them and you begin kind of walking towards them, you get to the edge of where the cobblestone path is, and you hear a very deep voice. From what you can tell, it's human. It's speaking to you in a language that you understand at the very least. And it says, "Stray not from the path. You have a mission to take, and you shall not be distracted."
What mission?
You were told that you would have tonight to seek me out. Seek me out, or turn back from this path.
This is coming from the crying person?
No, this is just coming kind of like from around you. As you kind of look, as this voice is coming to you, the crying person, again, the trees popping in and out. You've now gotten to like the closest point where the path kind of heads out towards, or the closest point where the path kind of comes near them, and they look fairly familiar to you. You see these kind of long, and again, very ethereal, but the long kind of mottled, almost tattered clothes of a ranger from the Withering. shoulder-length hair, sword on his side. You see Glyph sitting down next to one of the trees.
I go over to him and
So you leave the path?
oh wait. Oh, frick. Oh, this is hard. While staying on the path, I'm going to holler at Glyph. If I can.
Okay.
Glyph.
What do you... doesn't seem to hear you, seems to just... You see him, like...
I look at Fox and ask him to go try and usher Glyph over and see if I can get him kind of like on the path with me.
Muted myself. As you kind of usher Fox over, he seems reluctant to leave your side. But if you urge him on more, he kind of starts to begrudgingly head that direction.
Oh, well, if he's gonna begrudgingly do it. Okay, forget it. I'm gonna... Let's just go, Fox. And let's just go as fast as we can, because I don't know how many more of these people I can leave behind without hurting my own feelings. So I just take off on a sprint down the path as fast as I can.
Okay. So you kind of take off down the path again. You see a couple other people as you're walking through, more faces that you recognize. Most of them on the path walking next to you for a short ways. Quite a few people from Green Hill. Those that you know didn't come into the Feywild with you. You see more people lost and wandering, some of them broken down like Glyph, crying on the side of the path, some of them calling out names and wandering through the trees. A couple children that flash between being hurt and wounded, cuts across their face, to being whole and healthy, wandering, calling for their parents. Some you recognize from Green Hill, others you don't recognize. And you see the tall elven person with the strange accent in the nice robes flash in a few more times, once on the path and twice more off the path. All 3 times seeming to see you and recognize you and saying, "Skyla, can you?" And then the next time, just, I can't seem to make my way, and then flashing off. It's pulling me back.
I don't know who you are and I don't know how to help, but I have to keep going down this path.
As you continue on down the path a little ways, you see someone in an interesting outfit, one that immediately catches your attention as you recognize someone wearing furs and hides from your tribe. No one that you I mean, you recognize them, but it's someone that you have seen before. Not necessarily like a close friend or relative or something, but one of the people that your father's hunted with before a few times. Older gentleman, and they recognize you, and they seem happy and kind of content walking down the path. They give you a little bit of a smile and they fade out. As you continue on down through the trees, you see the path as it winds back on itself several times. And kind of looking ahead to see where you're going. You see more and more people. And then you see another person wearing furs. And then another. And then another.
Get out of here, Ryan!
I will fight you with these hands.
These ones. I will go to where you live, Ryan.
You think it's a little strange
Can you
because
fight me with the same hands you fought the wall with? Goodbye!
Dang!
so it strikes you a little strange at first because from what you can tell, everyone that seems to be walking down this path has passed away. I mean, if not exactly today, but recently. So everyone that you're walking near. And in your village, it's not uncommon for people to pass away, but you normally only deal with maybe 1 or 2 every year or so. And so far, you've seen half a dozen, maybe 10.
It's like half my tribe. Not really, but it's like a quarter, fifth. Ouch. Ouch.
7/16.
It's like a fifth.
And some of them are from your tribe that you recognize. Others are from other tribes in the area that you maybe only interacted with, or like your tribe maybe only interacted with maybe once a year for trading or something like that. You can tell the subtle differences by the way they decorate themselves and stuff like that. But eventually you start to get the impression that something is wrong. And you see a couple of people wearing those furs wandering out amongst the trees, calling out names, asking where they are, sitting down, looking lost.
Any of them that I see on the path, I try to see if I recognize anyone.
I'll say you're pretty close knit, so I would say you almost recognize everyone. Even someone from another tribe you only interact with once a year. Growing up, if you've only got to deal with maybe 30 or 40 people, a new face, you kind of recognize them. So you know them, but I wouldn't say that you see a best friend or family member or something like that.
I'm gonna try to assure them all towards the path and try to get them walking with me.
Okay. They fade in and out as they walk along you for a couple paces. You get a couple smiles and it's good to see you, and then they fade away. It's fleeting. Everything that you're seeing is very fleeting. And as this is going on, there are other people that you don't recognize coming in. You see some dwarves and some halflings and things like that they are flashing in and out. You're only seeing them for a couple steps. It's like you're walking through a crowd at Disneyland, except half the people are fading in and out essentially, and then coming back. It's very crowded. It's just you're only seeing so many people at a time.
All right. I'm gonna just try to keep pushing as fast as I can down the path then, and blinders up, trying not to cry.
Okay.
Hush.
Okay. You continue on down the path, and as you do so, one person that eventually the faces begin to kind of fade away and fall away. You don't see the same person for very long. You seem to be moving a lot faster than they are. One face that is constantly up and constantly happening again and again is that older elven face, the one that you don't recognize, and it keeps calling out to you.
Who are you?
as you stop to look at them one last time, or one more time, they call out to you. It's too strong. It's pulling me back. I did everything I could to get here, and it's pulling me back. Help me. And as they fade away and you look around, you turn around and you see a doorway. And it's a very large, ornate door that covers the entire path. Has a very kind of ornate handle on it that is carved with reliefs that kind of fade in and out. It's a little difficult to tell. There's kind of like skull motifs, and then there is just kind of some decorative stuff. And in the middle of the doorway is the symbol of Valendor.
I'm gonna push or pull, depending on how it goes, the door.
As you reach forward towards the door, the elf appears again and grabs onto your wrist. He says, Skyla, please help me. And then you feel as they get pulled and they hold onto you, your hand actually kind of moves back with them.
Who are you?
It's me. It's Sardon.
Was that the guy that took over Glyph's body? How do I help you?
I just want to die, and he kind of gets pulled back a little bit, and his grip loosens, and you see as this happens, and he kind of flashes out this sickly black tendril that is waving its way up the path and connecting around like his neck, and it like tightens and pulls on him a little bit more.
I don't know how to help you, but you did something wrong, and that's why they took you. You have to let me go.
I just want to die. Just help me through the door, please. It won't open for me. I've tried.
Then you're not supposed to go through it.
You can guide me there. You can open it for me. You can help me through. I don't want to be what I was. I can't control what I am when I'm there.
You took someone's life from them for a selfish reason. And Valendor took you down because of it. If he doesn't want you through this door, I don't know if I can help you through.
If he killed me, I don't think that he meant for me to be drugged back to start all over again.
I don't know what to do. There's too many messages. I can't deal. Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Hey, we'll wait. Let's take a 5-minute break while let's kind of figure this out. Or a 1-minute break, or a 30-second break, or a 5-second break. Whatever you need. I'll talk as long as I need to for you to think about this.
Let's take a break
So
I
while
can
this
get
is
some
going
water.
on, while this is going on, we'll flash back to Nessa and Roland.
Okay, go get some water. Go get some water.
If Roland is
Bye.
still trying to comfort me, I will lose my crap.
No, he would probably be like.
Have you guys designated a corner for that, or?
Oh.
Yeah, I know, right? I think. See the thing. All right, so the reason Roland is here, just to recap, is because of Nessa. He's here to guide her through this, and so he likes Nessa a lot, and he just sees her making these decisions. It's like you're going to make, you're gonna, like, he's like, you just do a couple things differently and your life would be so much better. He cares about you. He wants you to live a fuller, happier
I mean, he's not wrong at all.
And so he's not like when he's saying like you're really uptight, he's not saying like as an insult. He's saying like your life could be so much better. It's like
just fix that. Just fix
it's
it.
like, just hey, you know what? Just relax a little bit. Like he cares about you and he wants.
I can see the way to happiness, and you are just like dodging that on purpose.
Yeah, your dex is very high for that's not the accent, for dodging happiness and joy.
Actually, my dex is really low.
I know, but for this it's very high, and I don't understand that so much. Why? Yeah, so what made you what made you this way? Why did you think that you are supposed to control everything?
I don't need to control it.
You just said you should control that you are responsible.
I need to protect her. I need to know she's safe. She's gonna come back, and I'm gonna be here when she comes back.
She will come back, and you will be here. There's nothing we can do right now. She is only part. This is the Temple of Valendor, and I don't know if these things there is to know about him, but he is a. While I say he is very strict god, he is also very fair. And Skylar is. I don't say this about many people, but she is pure. I don't think she has anything to worry about. And neither should you, or I, or anyone here.
I haven't seen Valendor be completely fair. At least his followers.
Oh, that's all right. I should let me make myself a little seat with a sit. Sit down, hand and chin.
There was this paladin, and he was just killing people, even though they didn't have a choice for what they were, or without even giving them a chance to be anything else. And it killed him. All of his faith to his god, all of his belief that he was right. He didn't even get to have the chance to change his mind. He didn't even get the chance to change. And a lot of people died too. And they didn't have to because he was stubborn and thought he was right. And that his way was the only way. And I'm worried that Valendor's like that. And I don't think Skylar deserves to be under that sort of attention. I think she's in danger, and I'm scared.
The retelling of this story seems like there's missing a little bit of nuance, but
Sorry.
it just from my experience and listening to stories such as this, it just seems like there's a lot left unsaid. I would say that most people, as we go through this life, we do not have choice. Choice is, it's more of an illusion or a luxury. It's not really there, and we just do what we can. And yes, I don't. Maybe I shouldn't be talking like this. I see it brings you no comfort. So, but I must say that again, I do not know everything there is to know about Valendor, but I do know that if nothing else, he is fair. Whatever he says, that is the word he goes by. He does not say, yes, you can take a mace, and then the mace is cursed. He doesn't do stuff like that. Just as an example.
That's a really good metaphor. Like, I get where you're coming from.
Just as an example of something that a deity might do in this world. So I think you should. I'm not telling you to trust Valendor, because it's not like he and I are on speaking terms, but you should trust Skylar. She's stronger than I think you give her credit for.
Are you guys up on the DS while you're having this conversation?
Oh yeah. Like, I pulled my sleeping bag up. I'm sitting on my sleeping bag, like, staring at the wall.
Sure,
Okay.
sure, I'll be a river.
And as you've kind of drug your sleeping bag up there, and as you've gone up there, walking through the ashes and stuff like that, you've been almost coated in it. It's up to your knees, kind of all over the place. You were feeling along the walls. It was on your hands or on your gloves. As you pass that kind of threshold, it all just fades away, almost like someone cast prestidigitation on you. It kind of just fades away. Your sleeping bag that you drug through the soot fades away. As you guys are kind of having this conversation, and in the heat of it, you begin to you hear something kind of faint at first, but it definitely kind of catches your attention. You hear a lot of the sound of heavy footsteps and metal on metal ringing out. Then you hear a couple groans, and as the sound kind of builds more and more, you essentially hear what sounds like a lot of the suits of armor that surround the scorched area around the temple are fighting something outside.
I'm extremely torn.
Would it be there was a ring? Was there something?
But it doesn't sound like way closer by, like than it should.
It sounds like. It sounds. Okay, so if you're hearing the armor, it's within the scorched kind of a radius that you guys passed into when you guys rushed into this area.
Right. When the bullet collapsed.
The suits of armor only activated once you pass that threshold.
Right.
So whatever it is, you can. It sounds within that kind of few blocks.
So not like
of the
closer
temple.
to the actual temple
It's
walls.
not like at the walls, no.
Okay.
But it's definitely it's ongoing.
All right. I'm gonna go look if there's a window or a door.
Sorry, so I wasn't here last time, so my spatial thing might be a little off. So just to clarify, it sounds like there's combat happening where those two guards were.
No. Okay, so when the whole party left, well, you guys haven't left the Withering, but when you went from the Withering into the Scorched Lands following or surrounding Kalimbor's temple, as you passed into it, there was a lot of suits of armor. I mean, dozens and maybe even more. I think I'm almost at hundreds at one point in time. And they were all kind of like fallen over.
Oh, they're the ones that are like fused together and stuff. Yeah.
They were like charred and blacked up, and then they stood up as the Zombuette passed the threshold.
That's
and
right. I did hear
attacked
that.
it.
Okay.
And then they began fighting the echoes on the edge, and the echoes didn't pass into the Scorched Lands.
Okay.
So, but as the Bulette died, you had to continue on towards the temple, and you could see like burned out bits of town and remains of like some foundation and stuff here and there. You guys traveled a few blocks. So I would say that like a rough estimate from the temple to the edge of the Scorched Lands is maybe like a quarter to a half mile at most, like to the very outskirts of that. It's definitely closer than that. It sounds like there's fighting closer to the temple, but it's not right outside.
Okay.
Right, but closer than the edge where it originally was.
So I think Nessa, maybe you're already running off, but like after you roll and say like, we don't know everything there is known by Kalimdor, but it seems that our enemy is his enemy, at least for this moment, and we should not brush that aside so quickly.
Well, you're at least right about two things. And I'm gonna go look. Like there's a place to peek.
So the entire temple is basically solid. There are some like broken and burned out windows higher up, but they're like beyond just peeking through. The only other exit is the kind of charred front doors.
I'm gonna try the front door.
Okay.
Unless I'm not allowed to leave.
No, you head to the front door, and
Roland follows her annoyingly because his whole thing is to keep her alive through this stupid withering.
I'm not running out.
Himself in dumb situations.
I just want to know what they're fighting.
Okay.
As
they can see you and take your body.
As you peek your head out, you As you peek your head out of the withering, the cloud cover is gone that followed you up this way. The sun is now setting. It's on the very edge of the horizon, and it is the last rays of day. As you kind of peer out, you see the two much larger suits of armor kind of standing guard there. You don't really see anything. It kind of sounds more off to the side, but they're not barring your way from leaving.
Okay. So it's getting dark, and I probably can't see very far anyway.
You can see right now. The sun's still. Imagine you still have
Yes.
yeah. You still got maybe 2 hours of daylight, but the sun isn't up. It's just now setting behind the mountains.
Okay. I'm gonna look at the bros of Kele. Just sort of sheepishly. What's going on?
They don't react to you.
Oh, didn't think so. Can I go back inside?
The fighting again off to the side. It's because the doorway is.
Yeah, it's one direction. It's on another cardinal direction of the temple.
Why is this not drawing? Oh, this is the temple, and then the doorway is set inside.
Right.
Here. So you are hearing the fighting from out this way.
Right. Okay. So I step back into the temple, and I kind of slowly turn to look at Roland.
Okay.
I want to know what we're up against, if we're going to be up against it. Kele, Corin, you agree? Yeah, we totally agree. Well, see?
What is the rush? We will know soon enough.
I'd like to be prepared, if possible. I am a little,
That's my secretness, huh? I'm always prepared.
Well, I'm not. I haven't been, and I'm a bit over that. So I'm going to see if I can go see anything.
All right, well, I will follow you, and we will get. But if we need to run, I trust that you will run.
Of course, I'll run. I just don't run very fast.
With that leg.
No. I'll definitely run. One hand conspicuously behind back.
Right. The one that you punched the wall with?
It's bleeding, okay? I'm just shielding it from further damage, possibly. Corin,
Okay.
Kele, anything? Any
I
thoughts?
Are they coming with you?
Do you approve of this plan? Do you not approve, Corin? Do you approve? Corin, my bud, my bro.
Corin gives you a knowing look that conveys everything Alex wants Corin to convey in 3 seconds. It's a long look.
I
3
feel
seconds is a long time to stare at someone.
You're being kind of dumb. I feel like you should be cautious. I feel like is what Corin would say. Okay.
I do feel like Kaylee and Corin would be well, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I feel like they'd say, getting eyes on something.
Getting eyes on something isn't the worst thing, but they probably have spells to do that sort of thing, as opposed to putting our stupid human
literal
faces in the face. Yeah.
If only they were here.
If only they were here.
So how high up are the windows? And are there any windows on the side of the walls where I'm hearing the noise?
Yeah. And they are roughly 3.78. I don't know. They're
I think it's
at the
300
top.
feet. And I was like, well?
No, they're probably a good 30 feet up. They're up there. They're stained glass, or at one point in time they were stained glass windows at the top of a church.
If only one of us could levitate.
Well, Are these walls like
Well,
etched? Do they have like carvings? Do they have?
If only I could polymorph.
They have carvings. Okay.
We can leave this little ragtag group and get back to Skylar.
I'm just gonna say, lighting a room, opening a door, and looking around a corner. Okay.
Roland's very concerned about me looking around this corner. I was just gonna do it, but then he was concerned.
Whatever noise you're hearing is a quarter mile away, so it's
Like,
further away than any of the echoes had to be to have any effect on you.
Okay, great. Corn gives me this like shrug of like, it might be a good idea, but you might die. And then Nessa's gonna be like, sounds like a risk I'm willing to take. And she goes
like, I can just tumble away, so I'm good.
I
that is
can't.
true.
Yeah, I'm gonna go outside.
Okay. So as you go outside, head around the corner of the church, what you see is, I mean, the closest thing that you would probably have ever come to a full-on battlefield in your life. There are thousands of zombies, a full-on storm. Probably the one that you guys barreled through coming here is just pouring in an onslaught onto the scorched ground. And anytime they pass, and as you're watching, you see some of them climb over these mounds of zombies that have been cut down, and then eventually they, half of them get back up right away. A couple others kind of drag themselves along. The ones that are knocked down, more pour over the top of them. As they pass suits of armor, the suits of armor stand up from their kneeling position, draw their swords out of themselves, and begin just hacking away at the zombies that are next to them, cutting swaths around them. But it's just more and more and more and more pouring in, to the point where more suits of armor are coming in, and they don't seem to be. It's not like the suits of armor are acting like a well-organized defense or anything. They're not, shoulder to shoulder. They're kind of little pockets that they're just cutting down as many as they can touch, as many as they can reach. And they're cutting down lots. But from what you can see out past that, the dust that's rising up and being caught by kind of the rays of sun coming from behind you, there's more coming in. You remember the size of the storm that you passed through on your way here, and the numbers are staggering. And slowly you're watching as they push deeper and deeper in. They don't seem to be heading towards the temple. They kind of seem to just be moving in kind of that shambling way they do just through here. But you can tell that at least, the quarter that is closest to you, like this back quarter, the rest of it kind of stretches off into the horizon. That quarter of it is going to wash right over the top of what this town used to be.
So when we were having our conversation at the pristine wall, was that possibly a short rest?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that it wasn't a short rest. The events of you guys getting here and Skylar running through the wall, and then you frantically punching the wall and yelling at Roland. I would say not even like barely an hour itself has passed, and none of that has been sitting down calmly taking it in.
Yeah. So there's this big door.
Nessa, if you would like to, let's do this.
Literally 30 seconds ago, you said, if anything happens, run. Now you're saying, let's do this. I'm a little confused.
I'm led by my heart. I'm not led by facts.
If only other people were here to hear that and maybe understand my motives earlier.
But alas, they are not. So, and I will deny any sort of... I will deny this if they ask.
Well, you're the newcomer here, and I think they might believe me.
All right.
I don't want to go fight an army of 5 million billion zombies, but I am interested in fortifying this place so that we don't die.
This is a perfect opportunity for Valendor to owe us a favor.
he's literally handling this, and we're just gonna like run in there and like what?
Does it look like
solve
he's
it?
like handling it?
No, I would say especially Nyessa having fighting/guard experience.
Mhm.
At some point, a reckless mob just has the numbers to
Yeah.
overwhelm, and that is well beyond that point right now. Especially
Yeah.
again, the guards aren't standing shoulder; they're fighting independently of each other, and
Right.
for as many as they cut down, more kind of just sift through the gaps.
Yeah.
And as zombies are wont to do, for every 10 of them that they cut down, 5 of them get back up. So
Yeah. Yeah. So Nessa's like first strategic response to this is it's gonna get here and they're tough and we're down at least one person and I need to be here when Skyla gets back, so I need to make this place like a hill that they're just gonna climb over and leave us alone. So Roland, I think those windows are really high up. There's only this one door. There are these big guys here. I think if we just like hunker down, we could be okay. Right? Is there something I need to roll for like strategic intelligence? Like battle
build for
plan?
military intelligence.
No, see,
Yeah.
I want a favor from my god. Is that what I want?
Favor. I don't think he
All right.
cares.
So while you two are figuring this out, we'll flash back to Skyla.
Yeah, we'll flash
Yeah.
back.
Skyla, same position as before.
Okay. I grab him by the arm, open the door, and yank him through.
Okay. As you pull him through, you see. Well, first, as you grab the door and push it open, all that's on the other side is this like intense blue light. It's like almost impossible to look at. Just glowing brighter and brighter, and it kind of washes out over you. As you push him through to the door, his hand touches into it, and he slowly begins to get pulled into it as his like torso touches it. That kind of sickly black, like strand, like thread that is wrapped around him, slowly begins to just pull away, and then it catches in this like bluish fire as it begins to, and you see the flame burn all the way back down the path. As he starts to pull through it, this look of relief washes over his face, and he turns to you and he says, "Thank you." And he's gone. And now you're standing before the door, open, this blue light kind of overwhelming you.
Hello?
Doesn't do
It's
anything.
me.
Is it me you're looking for? Do you want? Are you going in? You're walking through it, or are you standing in? Okay. So as you step into it, the blue light kind of is like all encompassing. You get this intense pressure kind of pushing down on you, almost like you're diving down deep underneath the water. There's a rushing sound that fills your ears. You can't smell anything. It's this kind of assault on the senses of both too much and not enough being there at the same time. You realize that you haven't been breathing the whole time that you're here, but if you, you probably instinctively like take a breath. And almost as suddenly as it started, it stops. And you are sitting kneeling down on a stone floor, and there's a small kind of pool of blue light that is washing down over the top of you, lighting you, and you can kind of make out shapes and shadows in the distance, and then the figure of a large, kind of ornately worked chair comes up in front of you. And sitting in the chair, armored from head to toe, except for no helmet, very plain armor, battle worn, scarred, not ornate at all. There's no gilding. There's no uh, like frills. There's no feathers. There's no nothing. It's literally like a working class kind of armor, and it's seen some use. Roughly hammered into the chest of it is the symbol of Kelembor. And sitting there, wearing the armor, sitting in this chair, you see a human. Very dark complexion. Anyone that you've run into that is kind of that comes from City Mansour has the same kind of look to them. That darker complexion, darker skin. His head is completely shaved of hair. He has no facial hair, and was at one point in time probably extremely good looking. Like not not like supermodel kind of good looking, but just like a very decent looking guy that has seen too many hardships, too many troubles, too much worry, and his face shows it. I mean, he has the worry lines around his eyes. It looks like a face that maybe laughed at one point in time, but hasn't in a long time. And resting next to the chair is a very simple sword in a scabbard. No ordainment, no gilding, no special anything on it. Behind that chair with this person sitting in it, you see doors. Just doors upon doors upon doors upon doors. Some with symbols on them, some without. Some of them broken, some of them, one of them literally, as you're looking, kind of is catching fire. One of them looks slightly iced over, but there are thousands upon thousands of doors leading off to different areas behind them. Some of them are kind of shifting and moving. Some of them are falling over. It's just it's indescribable almost, to the point where it makes you a little nauseous to look at it. And the doors kind of shift, and some come to the front. One will come into view right behind his chair, and then it'll shift and move and twist, and then it'll rise up, and it's just constantly moving.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
I'm gonna go to the person in the middle first.
Right. You're kind of sitting in the middle, and he's like a ways in front of you, within talking distance, maybe 10, 20 feet away at most.
Oh, then I'm just gonna shout out, "Hello?"
He looks at you, and in a very deep voice that you recognize from walking down the path, he says, "Welcome, Skylar. I don't get many guests here, as you can probably tell. Not very many living, at least. It's good to see you. It's good to see a kind face. One that hasn't yet realized all of the burdens of the world that are upon them."
I mean, I know there's burdens, but I don't let that stop me or deter me.
It's good. I hope you keep that optimism. Some of us had it pried from us long ago. Why are you here, Skylar? Why have you walked this lonely path? Why have you sought me out?
I want to do more. I want to help more. I've seen people pass and their life leave them more and more, and I want to make sure that they're getting where they need to go, and that those who end the lives of people who shouldn't end yet are punished. And I just want to make the world a better place for everyone.
Yeah. He takes a deep breath and he kind of lets out this long sigh. And as he does, you can see like the features on his face kind of settle into this kind of contemplative demeanor. And as he lets out this sigh, you get this strange, overwhelming sense of like awe and fear almost. And as he lets it out, there's this very deep. The world around him almost flexes and wavers out. And for the first time since you've kind of entered this, you almost get the full weight of the realization that you were kneeling in front of a god, the god of death. This is someone that has complete and absolute control over an entire domain of life, of universe. And the weight of that settles in on Skyla as much as Skyla can settle that in. I'll let you make that decision, but that is a realization that is apparent. How far Skyla takes it is up to you. As he's saying, he kind of settles in and he thinks on what you said, and he thinks for a second. He says, "Is that why you're here, Skyla? Or is part of it just what you think I might want to hear from you?"
I mean, that is muted. That is what I want to do. I just want to help people.
Do you grasp the true importance of death in this world? Do you know why things die? Do you know why things that refuse to die are so terrible and such a horrible thing for this world to have to shoulder? This is very important because someone's seeking this path that doesn't truly understand what death means is someone that is bound to doom everything that they hold dear. You need to know the true depth of why this is important. Otherwise you'll make the same mistakes that I made once long ago.
I may be pretty young, but being from a tribe that is a small, tight-knit community, I understand what death is and why it's necessary. The first time I ever had to hunt, I was devastated that I had to kill something until I realized that I needed what that life gave to me for my life to continue. And someday my life will have to end so that new life can come into this world. So for something to not die when they're supposed to is restricting that flow of life, and that can't happen.
I see you understand the importance of things giving back. But what about your friends? Your family? I understand you have a friend who only recently died, and you and your group did everything that you could to keep her here. You understand how harmful that can be. Because I can show you.
I think keeping the life of someone who certainly should not have perished, especially in a place that we shouldn't have even been in the first place, to a creature that's not even of this world. I don't think we did wrong.
There are times, very rare but important times, when I believe that someone that is taken too early or out of turn should be given another chance. But that is my domain. That is my choosing. Because I know the consequences. Your friend may yet be important. And another has chosen to give her that chance, and I will take that into consideration for the future. But going forward, it is a responsibility that is held very, very sacred amongst my followers. Come with me, Skylar. I have to show you something. And he kind of stands up, and as he does so, you realize he's a lot taller than you might have thought. He's probably about 7.5 feet tall. He grabs the sword next to his throne there, and begins kind of walking back behind the throne towards the doors.
I'm going to follow.
Muted?
I'm going to follow.
Okay. So as you go to follow him, you almost have to take 2 steps for his every one. As he hears you kind of catch up to him, he says, and he's gesturing with the sword still in the scabbard, hilt first. He's basically just kind of holding it and just pointing out. He says, "Do you see all of these? Each of these doors represents a destination of where someone needs to be once they're done in this world. Some are beautiful places. Some are terrible, terrible nightmares. But everyone has a place that they must get to when they die. And to run from that, to come back, is unforgivable. I'm stuck here, but what I do is very important. I made a mistake once, long ago." And he kind of gestures, and one of the doors comes forward. And it's a simple, kind of plain wooden door, and he opens it up and pushes the door open. Opens it up, pushes the door open. I'm going to say it 3 more times, don't worry. He and kind of gestures inside, and you see what looks like a city street, but not any city that you're familiar with. On the other side, people are kind of walking by and stuff like that. And he kind of gestures in for you to head through.
I proceed.
He follows you in and closes the door, and it just kind of like disappears and fades away. He says, very few people get to see this. It's not something that I share with many, but those that follow me closely, those that I think have great potential. I feel they need to know the truth, especially not only about death and the things that follow it, but also they need to know about the gods themselves, and we're not perfect. Me least of all. Seen when you recognize? And he kind of gestures, and you see a much younger looking Kelembor, no armor or anything, walking down the city streets hand in hand with a beautiful looking woman. And he says, we were happy once. That's all I wanted. This is so long ago, I can't even put into terms when this took place. Centuries, millennia, eons. Valendor had a very different face then. Some people didn't even call it Valendor back then. But we were happy. And then the scene kind of shifts, and it shifts to a small kind of cramped room. The woman that you saw before is now laying on the bed, kind of withering away. He's sitting down next to her, kind of holding her hand. Says, she was so young. She was too young. I was too young as well, and I was foolish. I felt that she was taken from me too early. That I was robbed of my right to spend a lifetime with her. So, as most young, foolish men do when something like this happens, I went seeking vengeance, but she wasn't stabbed, she wasn't poisoned, she wasn't cut down by someone I could put my hands on. She was just taken from me. So I began to study, and I began to search. And I found a very dark secret hidden away in Valendor. And that secret is that gods can be touched. They can be reached. You can find them if you know the right doors to open. And I tore apart this world until I found my door. And the scene shifts again, and you see Kelembor wearing the armor he's wearing now, but without the ordained, or without the hammered-in ornamental piece on the front. And he has the sword that he has. And he is walking down a path similar to the one that you walked to get here until he gets to the ornamental door. And he begins kicking at the door and hacking at it and chopping at it and basically doing everything he can until finally the door gives away in front of him and he steps into the blue light. And he falls down into the same kind of room that you were in. And there's a throne similar to the one he was sitting there with the doors behind him. And sitting on that throne is this kind of twisted, dark-robed figure that is partially alive. There's kind of flesh hanging off one side, and then the other side is filled with like skeletons and kind of rotting away, or with bones and rotting away. Kelembor, you can't really hear what's being said, but you can see him shouting and pointing his sword, and the figure sitting there begins kind of laughing at him. You see Kelembor throw the sword down and take a handful of something out of his pocket and throw it into the air. These small figures, they're maybe each about this big, and they look like spindled gold and brass that is kind of twisted from the center out. And they begin spinning and spinning, and then they lock into place, one to his head, one to one arm, one to the other, one to both legs. As Kelembor begins to glow, he brings his hands together, and a blast of light leaps out of him, tears out of him, and slams into this creature. And the creature has a look of disbelief on his face for just a split second. and then it's obliterated and gone. And Kellenbor's body lies down on the ground, smoke pouring off of it, no life to it whatsoever. And Kellenbor turns and looks to you, kind of gesturing to his own body on the floor, and he says, I found a weapon that had the power to kill the gods themselves. And I used it in my vengeance. And it should have killed me as well. But in some sick, twisted world of irony, I had killed the god of death. And so, and he gestures, and there's a bit of a cough, and motes of light kind of form, and you see Kellenbor's spirit reemerge and slam back down into him as he comes back out. And he looks at the throne and the kind of blast marks over it and the robe that is torn to the side, and he looks at the doors around him, and he looks down at his sword, and he turns around and he walks away. He walks back out the doorway that he came in, walks back down the path and back into the world. Then the scene shifts again and follows him, and he says, and so I went about my life. For a short time. It didn't bring me any happiness, it didn't bring her back, but I felt like I had achieved my vengeance. I felt like I had gotten even. And then something happened to the world. And the following years were, at the time they were, well, shortly after, they were called the Dark Times. That was the only way anyone could put any kind of words to them, but the horrors of a world without death fell upon us. And the scene shifts again, and it shows Kellenbor in the middle of a battlefield, people hacking at each other, tearing each other apart, decapitating each other, and no one no one able to die. There are bodies strewn about, completely torn to pieces as these two armies slam into each other, and no one is dying. People are crushed and stabbed and burned and maimed, and it is disgusting, and there's just sickness in the air, and people are just attacking, and you see the looks on their faces as the realization kind of sets in that they're not fighting for anything. They're just trying to get killed, trying to see if they can die. There are some that are taking sick pleasure out of it, and some that aren't. And it's horrible, and the scene shifts again, and you see a room full of sick people that the elderly that are withering away, can hardly move, people that are starving to death but living with the pain constantly without being able to die. And Kellenbor says, and that's when I realized my mistake, and that there was only one way to fix it. So I found my doorway again, and it shifts again as Kellenbor heads back to the door, still broken on its hinges, still battered in, back into the room where he grabs his sword off the ground, and he walks over to the throne, and he turns around and he sits in it. And as he does, this power leaps up out of the ground and slams into him as he becomes connected with the domain of death. And it kind of fades away as a doorway appears in front of you, the same one you stepped into the memory through, and he opens it up and ushers you back through.
Skylar just wide-eyed disbelief.
He looks at you and he says, I hope you know why I showed you that. I hope that the weight of it settles in.
I'm sure it will eventually.
Well, is this still the path that you seek, Skelly? Is this the responsibility that you want? It's not glorious, it's not glamorous. We do it because we must. It has to be done. And for some of us, there isn't a happy door waiting. You will be delivering some people to some place they don't want to go. But I will promise you this. You will be able to help those that need helping. You just won't be able to help everyone that you want to.
This is the path I would like to take.
Okay. Everyone that follows my path, they have a token of mine. Do you have a preference in what form you'd like it to take? An amulet, a ring, a tattoo maybe. There are some that like that.
Hold up. Okay. Skyla has like blue wispies that have formed on her face that eventually will like cover half her body. So I would like something on the other side.
It'll be Kalimbor's symbol.
Yeah.
It'll be the the skeletal hand holding up the scales.
Like slap that on her arm or leg or somewhere.
Wherever you want.
Let's slap it on the arm.
Okay. So the holy symbol is generally what you hold up to do whatever you want to do, to channel the power. So he reaches down and grabs your hand and places another hand over it, and you feel this kind of. It's not like necrotic. It's not that sickening feeling, but you feel the domain of death kind of wash over you, and that weight kind of hits you, and you probably feel a little bit of what Gregor kind of was sitting with every day of his life. That responsibility kind of washes over you, and there's a cold on the back of your hand. As Kalimbor pulls his hand away, emblazoned across the back of your hand in that bluish color is the symbol of Kalimbor. It says, I'll call on you when I need you, but I think where you're headed next is very important. And I wish you luck on that path. And not many seek me out. I tend to find those in need. As with Gregor, I came to him, and later he came to me. Since you weren't brought here, I will tell you that those that do make a pilgrimage here, they have a tradition of leaving their mark in the temple. If you'd like to carry that tradition on, and I'd like to give you a gift as well.
Heck yeah.
And he holds out not a ring, an arrow. A ring with an arrow emblazoned on it. And I don't have the handout for it yet, but on the back of the ring is an arrow, and the arrow has a shaft that looks like it basically looks like a skeletal arm, instead of like a wooden shaft with like feathers and stuff coming off of it. It says, well, the domain of death comes with some help, but it is not always the most well received. But I think this will suit you well. And as he gives it to you, it automatically like as he like hands it to you and you place it on your finger, you kind of just innately get the knowledge of how it works. And essentially, once per day, you can fire an arrow, and where the arrow lands, where it strikes, a skeletal, like a spirit warrior, skeleton spirit warrior will sprout up from that spot and accompany you, and it will last for 1 minute.
That's so cool.
And with that, Kellenvor sits back down, places his sword back, and says, "Until we speak again, Skylar." The door.
And I mosey my butt out.
Okay. And welcome to level 8, Skylar.
Yo!
While that was going on, and as she makes her journey back, what time do we have here?
11 for me.
While that was going on, and as she makes her journey back, the rest of the group, what are you doing?
I get involved. I get involved. Like, but Nessa, you do what you do first. And
Nessa, she's like, I'm pretty much tapped out. I don't know what I can do against 5,000 zombies, so. She's like
Okay.
very reluctant to do anything.
Okay. What's Roland gonna do? So are you guys all standing outside?
I don't know what Corin and Kaylee did, but we're
Well,
on the porch, like,
I'll tell you this.
boy, that's a lot of zombies.
Well, I'll tell you what Roland's going to do. I'll tell you right now. No, okay.
Back after this commercial break.
First thing he's going to do, he's going to use a bonus action to restore his 4th level spell slot with all his sorcery points.
Nice.
Like, I think 6 of his 7, or 7 of his 8, something like that. I remember he only had 1 point left over, of whatever the math was, to get his 4th level back. So he's going to do that. He's going to run the front line. He's going to pop Storm Sphere, which is what you would imagine, just a stormy sphere.
Is it
Stormy
a sphere
sphere.
of storms?
Okay.
Yeah. And he's going to pop that, and then for the next 18 seconds, is just going to be throwing lightning bolts from for 3rd level spells.
Okay.
I can roll these if you want. I don't know what you
I
want.
mean,
from me.
yeah. If you want to roll a couple of them, you can. Just to give a rough average of the.
So here's Storm Sphere. And everything's the worst. Literally so many reds.
Wait. Did you roll? And you rolled a d20 on the wild magic. You have to roll on the surge table.
Wait, isn't it a natural 1, not a natural 20?
Is it a natural one? Oh,
I think it's a natural.
It's up to
dang.
you. It's up to
You're
you.
right. You're right. No, I think you're right. I look at wild magic as a good thing.
I'd be happy. I mean, natural 20, roll on it twice. I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. If
You want to do that as a homebrew for nat 20?
I don't know. I see it as a like a good thing. Maybe I've got the wrong idea.
Do it while Nessa's more than 30 feet away. Do it.
Can we do it twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want.
Yes.
I'm gonna
yes.
say that you're just unloading, and because of the kind of like wild magic that is just ripping through the withering that you've felt out here, I'll say that if Roland wants to, he can willfully tap into it, like just like jump on the wave and ride it until he's done. So for every spell that you want to cast, you can roll twice on this because of the withering.
Okay.
I will leave this entirely up to you.
Yeah, let's do it until I can't.
Okay.
Let's do it until I can't. 'Cause- He doesn't necessarily feel safe, but I think he feels like he'll know before it goes, the tide turns, so he can duck out, which he might be wrong about, depending on how the surge table will go.
Yeah. And then I'm saying that this is a horde of zombies, so rolling to hit, in my opinion, is kind of just like if you can literally hit the ground.
So
you
mainly
can
he's
hit
focused. Yeah, he's got the storm sphere, which is like a 20-foot radius. what is it? What is it? It's 20-foot radius
Whirling
sphere, like a bunch of like bludgeoning damage, and then that gives him a bonus action lightning attack, like as for a minute of concentration, and then in the subsequent turns, he's going to be casting lightning bolt, which is like 100-foot range, and like anything.
Just a straight line. Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Okay.
just like ripping through whatever.
So literally, this scenario is your jam.
Exactly. So this is like an example of a lightning bolt. So 32 like in a line, just like, and just gonna do like a few of those. He can't do more than 3, but like, and then he'll probably like once he's starting to like tap out a little bit, he'll probably like start casting fairy fire to help out the armor peoples. Stuff like that. Just like he's just gonna like unload as long as this goes on before the surge table stops him. He's gonna go and expend every single slot he has.
Okay, I like it. So
he's trying to get a favor here.
So you rush out there and you cast this sphere, and as you do, you kind of open yourself up into the withering, and you feel these channels of magic kind of lashing up through the ground and through the air and like just slamming into you, and you just instead of kind of spending all your time holding it at bay and hoping that it doesn't, you literally just give in, and it washes over you, and you feel magic just intoxicating levels of it just pouring out of you at this point. Your sphere that you cast, as it goes in, you channel wild magic from the withering into it, and it just grows and grows and grows and continues to. So it was a 20-foot radius. It continues to grow about 10-foot radius every 10 or so seconds for the duration of it. So it's just, it literally is just like washing out over them. The lightning bolts that you're throwing out, they're stretching further and further than, to the point where you can't even see them. You see just bodies blasting away and blasting away. And you cast fairy fire and stuff like that. And as you do, the metal like kind of automatons begin just cutting into it as you're just throwing stuff into the middle of this, and there are literally just bodies blasting. Just it's from Nessa's point of view, where you're standing way back, you kind of get a little bit of you get a little worried. That is like the amount of power that Roland is slinging about. You get the impression of like just a fire hose that someone turned on full blast and just let loose. It is not controlled necessarily. It's not clean, but it like in this scenario where there is no collateral damage and it is just untapped, it is wreaking just devastation. It is terrifying. There are bodies, lightning bolts are coming down from the ground and blasting, and there are bodies just flying everywhere. And at the middle of it all, you just see Roland just standing out there, just pulling in energy and slamming it out over and over again. It's crazy.
Nessa sits down. No, I'm just kidding. You got this, honey!
Nessa punches.
You're doing great, honey.
I literally can't do anything to help you,
That's the
so...
Nessa kicks Glyph just to say she did.
Yeah, I literally can't do anything to either match or get close to you to help you. You don't need protecting. So.
I'll say that for the most part, you are you are letting as much wild magic go as you're taking in, but it does begin to build up. And I'll say that you can make between 1 and 6 rolls. I'll let you decide, but you got to roll them all at once, however many you want to roll.
I'll roll a d6 to see how many I'm going to roll. Is that okay? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no. I'm saying you can pick. You can literally pick.
I'm going to roll. Yeah. So I'm going to do
okay.
3. So 3 rolls.
Okay, so 3 D100s.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Get off tooltip. I can't see what I'm typing. Hold on, I'm going to refresh because the tooltip is over where I type and it's driving me batty. Loading back in. Okay, here we go.
I really hope you roll a 1.
I really hope I roll all the things. But I can only roll 3.
I was like, with 3 die?
Load.
If you roll
Oh my
a-
god.
That's why I hope you roll a 1.
I hope I
Because that-
roll. I hope I roll 3 100s. That's what I hope I roll.
75. Oh.
So close.
So he rolled
So
a
he
Oh
rolled
my
a 2
God.
for anyone
So,
following
okay,
along at
yeah.
home.
So we'll
75,
we'll go-
2, and a 2.
Well, a 75. 75 is. Wow. You glow with bright light in a 30-foot radius for the next minute. Any creature that ends
All
its turn
zombies
with
in the area.
in the area are blinded until the end of its next turn. So basically,
Oh.
you're Eric again.
But
So within 30 feet of you, and there are zombies kind of like pouring in. You just Nessa, you see as he's slashing this, you see this just as he begins to just emanate this glow, which for Roland is really uncomfortable because
Yeah,
it's bright light.
And it's really glad that I didn't roll any attack rolls, basically. It's just like saving throw spells. Cause...
Hey, Roland.
Oh boy, what's the next one?
What is? Do you have any magic items on you?
Yeah, I do. Are they dead?
No.
I have
No.
my what's it? My war mage.
Okay, but like those are like items. They're like all like wands and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can get like specific.
So
Yeah.
Nessa, as you're watching Roland, who is in the middle of this storm with bodies flying everywhere, begins to just emanate this glow lit up. You have the perfect view as the magic just disintegrates every article of clothing on him, and he is standing there, butt naked, casting his zombie people
Yes!
Oh my
on
gosh.
Yes!
every
Yes!
article of non-magical cloth on his person crumbles
Oh my
to dust.
God,
That's
just
hilarious.
That's what
a 62 is.
yes!
But like, how heroic is that though? It's like literally going out like I have
So
nothing
close.
and I'm gonna destroy everything.
Are you
And
kidding?
then-
It's the most heroic thing.
It's so cool.
Every statue in Greek and Roman, they're all
And then
oh, so
I need to
happy.
know how many magic items you have on you.
Yeah, I'm in trouble here. Let's see. I've got 2 things. I got this. No, I got 3 things. The Stone of Good Luck, a Wand of the War Mage, and the Eyes of Minute Seeing.
Okay, so you have a stone, wand, eyes, and then DM something or another. So the Stone of Good Luck. I don't know if you're pulling on its power now, or are you attuned to it, or how does it work?
It's just one of those things. I don't know if it's an attunement thing, but it like adds plus. It probably is attunement, I would imagine, because it's pretty powerful. It adds like +1 to saves and.
Okay, so I'll say that as you're sitting there casting this, you feel this kind of energy wash over you, and as you begin pulling on more and more energy, you feel the surge start to go up, and you just release it, and you're not quite sure where it goes, and then you feel that kind of little added bonus of yours just and dissipate and stop functioning. So that becomes non-magical
All right.
for the next 2 hours. It does not work anymore, and it is dissipated. So Roland, in the middle of a zombie blender with a bunch of automaton Kalimvor metal statues or suits of armor that once belonged to followers of Kalimvor, basically. Standing on a scorched battlefield in the middle of the Withering, channeling all of the wild magic that he can get his hands on, unleashing a torrent, basically a tsunami of wild magic onto this oncoming storm of zombies that are making their way towards the temple. Glowing like there's no tomorrow, butt naked like there's no today, and has now sapped one of his 3 magical items of all of its energy, probably blasted through a large portion of his spell slots. While Nessa sits back and watches all of this, as you begin to kind of like wind down and basically have sucked all of the magic out of the air around you, Roland, you see just a field of devastation in front of you. I mean, for hundreds of yards in either direction, there's this huge radius of just zombies that aren't moving, that are all dead, and slowly the horde behind it just starts to crawl over the top of it and fill it in.
So if he's not casting anymore, I start to become concerned.
I mean, I don't know if you. I mean, you could still be casting, but that takes care of. I mean, you've literally laid waste to like thousands of zombies. Like you have unleashed a lot.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Man, I'm sad that we have all this like character art with these clothes that exist no longer.
Well,
we'll
if
figure
you
it out.
really want, we could see about getting some new character art with your new outfit.
I mean, there are people who will do that.
We can't put it on stream, I don't think.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I mean, they're waist up. Okay. Anyway. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah.
So that was legit. And Nessa was just
What do you
like,
want to do, Nessa?
well, I pretty much like when he was casting, she was like, I can't. I mean, like her first thought was like, oh, I'll go watch his back while he, and then he like literally like exploded, and there was lightning, and he's got.
Then she's like, I'm gonna watch his back.
Once his clothes disappeared, she was like, mm-hmm. Well, you're doing fine.
Just gonna stand here and watch. Doing a
Hate
good
to
job.
see you go. Love to watch you leave.
Doing a good
Where
job.
you going, blue cheeks?
Alaric's been gone like 3 days.
You guys said
Already
it, not me.
took out
I didn't.
Roland.
I was just making sure he didn't die, but clearly he has that handled. So Nessa spares a moment to be like, I can't. There's nothing. I literally can never do anything. I have no control. Roland was right. And then she goes out there and she pulls out the rod and lights it on fire. It turns it into a flame tongue longsword, and goes to do stuff that's not nearly as cool. But I guess I'll help. I'll take down
But
like
at least you'll be clothed, probably.
before I die.
So are you waiting until he's completely done unleashing
No.
havoc?
Well, I mean, I just didn't want her to like run into his like storm sphere and be like, oh, I guess I got electrocuted trying to reach you.
I mean, there was enough going on around that you could have been out there at the same time.
I mean, that's fine.
But okay, so you're out there. Do you have any spells you want to throw around, or are you all tapped out?
I mean, I have two, but I've had really bad experiences trying to cast in the Withering.
Okay. So I will say, on the battlefield now, you guys are kind of met with this like overwhelming stench of rot from these zombies that are kind of coming over. The scorched earth around you is kind of kicking up and just getting into your nose. That smell of like fire and just char and everything around you. The crackling, that kind of smell of just like lightning strike, that energy that's in the air that Roland has kind of unleashed is also all around it. The noise is crazy. The suits of armor are just going, I mean, relentlessly. They're just spinning around. The zombies are trying to drag some of them down, but every time they get one or two of them like almost to the ground, they fight their way back up. They just don't seem to have any kind of like stopping power, or I mean, they don't seem to run out of energy. Basically, they just seem to keep going. They don't seem to slow down or tire. But looking out, the zombies, despite all of the damage that Roland has done, and you fighting next to the suits of armor, the zombies are just coming. They're just coming and coming. I mean, and it's still, you see, I mean, a mile or more of zombies behind them.
That's neat. I'm gonna cast, I guess. I'm gonna cast Crusader's Mantle, so that when I hit stuff, it's with radiant damage, and I don't know if that'll help keep the zombies down.
It will.
All right.
I believe
yeah,
in you, Nessa.
As you begin casting Crusader's Mantle on yourself, and you begin fighting zombies that you were seeing fall and then slowly make their way back up, as you hit them, with this blast of radiant light coming off of this fiery sword, the zombies are no longer getting back up. They seem to just be kind of stuck there. You seem to be putting them down for good, basically.
Well, that's nice. I have like nothing left. Are we like? Are there fewer that are gonna be going to the temple at this point?
You guys have done a huge amount of damage. Roland is probably
Roland.
Roland is probably cleared like. I would say Roland himself has probably cleared like maybe like this little wing that's coming in. He's probably cleared like an eighth of what was coming. So he's done a lot, but there's still 7/8 of what he's cleared coming.
Okay. Well, I'm just stabbing and slashing and like spinning and stabbing and and eldritch blasting.
I'm gonna assume that Corin and Kele are out there with you guys fighting. So as you guys are doing all that, so basically Roland has unleashed the whole entire fury of the Withering's wild magic at this horde of zombies. You, Corin, and Kele are out there doing what you can to mop up anything kind of seeping out past Roland's kind of ball of destruction in the middle. Skyla is somewhere between worlds right now. And that's where we'll end the session for tonight.
Alright.
I will say, Skyla, being granted the gift from Kelemvor, level 8. You just have to pick what kind of path you want to go. And it's up to you. You don't have to be a paladin like Greg or whatever, but if you want, you can look at that. I know we talked about like the death domains and stuff like that. So, also, Roland, having tapped into and kind of given into the withering and like opening yourself up, you've also reached level 8. However, Roland has to. That's how we roll. And you've hit level 8, but you're level up, that kind of stuff. But Roland is like exhausted right now, so it's not going to take effect until you have a chance to kind of relax a little bit. And then we'll have to talk a little bit about something that'll happen from tapping in so recklessly to the withering.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Does it involve being hecka cool? Because that was hecka cool!
Does it involve Kelemvor offering me a favor?
So essentially what it is that
give me that asteroid, Kelemvor.
Give me that.
My ass.
So essentially what Roland's gonna get for this, because the Withering is kind of this just like untamed world of magic. The magic that rolls through it isn't all tainted necessarily. What you get has a special feature for kind of just like doing that is once per day, you can force someone else to experience a wild magic surge.
Oh.
So you can make
gonna be fun.
Once per day, you can make another creature roll on the wild magic table, but they have to roll a wisdom save versus your spell DC. So if it's unwilling, if it's unwilling, you can make them roll it. Actually, no, wait.
Does it?
It could be good or bad. So
can I
I'll
grant
say
them like Tides of Chaos, maybe? Like
okay. So here's the thing. All right, how about this? Because I've been kind of thinking about this, and so we can whittle it down a little bit. So I'm going back and forth. I'm not necessarily sure we should do the DC because it could be good or bad. You could grant an enemy the ability to fly or turn them invisible, or you could make them cast Fireball on themselves. Right. So I'm kind of thinking that once per day, no spell save DC, but whatever they cast, it is what it is. And then Tides of Chaos wouldn't affect any of that stuff. So
Right.
I'll say no spell save DC. You can force another creature to just make a magic surge once per day.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
And then if there's an issue with that later on down the road, we'll tweak it.
Sure. Cool. I like it. Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Sick.
Cool.
I'm just excited to see how that'll turn out.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're done with the session. Corn and Kaylee, I'm sure, are having a blast. Nessa is going on feeling slightly useless as usual
Oh, yeah.
in the Withering.
In life. Like, literally, since leaving the monastery, she has not helped. Ever.
Oh, come on, man. You just helped me out with all those armbos like you're all...
Yeah. Yeah.
You can help me out by finding me some pants. How's that?
Pretty much. I feel like Nessa is just like that kid that's like, oh, Teach, look what I drew. And it's like, oh, here's a sticker.
All right, let's sign out real quick.
Yep.
Internet.
For anyone that managed to watch this terribly choppy version on Twitch, thanks for hanging on. For anyone on YouTube that's watching, thank you. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe to us on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. If you subscribe to us on Twitch right now, you get YPG email plus access to our Discord channel so you can chit chat with us. Besides that, have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.